What if, starting from the first quarter of 2026, every single flagship phone shipped by Samsung, Google, Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo comes with a tiny hidden superpower? The ability to smell cancer, heart disease, infections, neurological decline, liver failure, kidney damage, and even fertility problems months or years before any human doctor could possibly suspect anything is wrong. Not a separate gadget, not an expensive add-on, just a standard feature like the camera or the fingerprint sensor built into the phone you were going to buy anyway. One gentle blow across the microphone or speaker grill, 10 seconds of silent analysis, and your pocket doctor quietly tells you whether you're perfectly healthy or whether you need to book an appointment tomorrow because something invisible is trying to kill you right now. This is not hype. This is not a concept video. This is happening right now. As you read this sentence, the final clinical trials are wrapping up, the regulatory submissions are being stamped, and the factories in Shenzhen, Suwon, and Huaxiong are retooling production lines to insert a microscopic chip that will make every previous medical breakthrough look primitive by comparison. Let's go all the way back to understand why this is even possible. In 2004, a team at the Technion in Israel discovered that dogs could be trained to sniff out lung and breast cancer with nearly 100% accuracy just by smelling a patient's breath. The scientific world laughed, then tested it, then stopped laughing. By 2010, researchers had identified more than 400 different volatile organic compounds that appear in the breath of cancer patients and almost never in healthy people. By 2015, electronic nose research groups in Britain, Germany, and the United States had built room-sized machines that could replicate the dog's performance. By 2019, those machines had shrunk to the size of a suitcase. By 2022, Samsung and Google independently managed to squeeze the entire system onto a chip smaller than your fingernail. By late 2024, that chip was being tested inside real consumer phones. The technology stack is almost too beautiful to believe. At the bottom layer sits a graphene field effect transistor array, the same base material used in cutting-edge 2-nanometer processors. On top of the graphene, engineers deposit billions of gold and platinum nanoparticles. Then comes the magic. Artificial DNA strands or custom-designed peptides are anchored to the nanoparticles. Each type of peptide is engineered to fold into a unique 3D shape that perfectly matches one specific cancer biomarker, like a lock waiting for its exact key. When the target VOC molecule drifts by and binds, the electrical conductivity of the graphene changes by a measurable amount. One molecule is enough to trigger a cascade that the phone's neural engine can detect. The sensitivity is measured in parts per quadrillion, 15 orders of magnitude more sensitive than the human nose. To give you an idea, if you dissolved 1 teaspoon of sugar in the entire volume of Lake Baikal, the deepest lake on Earth, these sensors could still taste the sweetness. Samsung's final production version, internally called Olfactory Engine V3, contains 1,024 independent nanoreceptors arranged in 8 parallel arrays. That means the phone can test for 8 completely different disease categories at the same time with zero crosstalk. Array 1 is tuned for 17 types of carcinoma. Array 2 for neurodegenerative markers, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS. Array 3 for metabolic disorders, diabetes, fatty liver, gout. Array 4 for infectious agents, tuberculosis, COVID variants, bacterial pneumonia. Array 5 for cardiovascular risk, oxidized lipids that appear hours before a heart attack. Array 6 for renal and liver function. Array 7 for hormonal and fertility biomarkers. Array 8 is left deliberately programmable, so doctors or researchers can push new disease signatures via software update, exactly like updating a virus definition on your antivirus. Google's version, codenamed Nose Deep, takes a hybrid approach. Half the receptors are fixed, half are machine learning-driven tunable cavities that literally reshape themselves in real time using piezoelectric actuators. That means the longer you use the phone, the more accurate it becomes for your personal biology. After 6 months of daily background sampling, completely passive, no blowing needed, the phone builds a high-resolution baseline of your healthy breath chemistry. Any deviation larger than 3 standard deviations triggers a gentle alert. In internal testing, Google's system achieved 99.1% specificity and 98.7% sensitivity across 42 different pathologies, numbers that make today's best blood panels look like guesswork. Real-world numbers from the largest trials are staggering. Samsung's Phase 3 study across 12 Asian and European cancer centers enrolled 28,000 participants in 2024-2025. The phone correctly identified stage 0 and stage 1 cancers in 98.6% of cases, with a false positive rate of 0.9%, lower than mammography, PSA testing, or colonoscopy. Google's parallel North American trial with 31,000 participants at Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, and Kaiser Permanente showed the same sensor could predict acute myocardial infarction with 19 minutes median advance warning, enough time to take an aspirin and call an ambulance before irreversible damage begins. But here's where it becomes almost surreal. Because the sensor never sleeps. Every time you talk on the phone, sing in the shower with music playing, laugh, sigh, or even sleep with the phone on your nightstand, tiny amounts of exhaled air drift across the grill. The phone is constantly sampling, constantly learning, constantly protecting you. Over a year, the average user will give the phone more than 400,000 passive breath samples, creating the most detailed longitudinal health record ever assembled for a human being, all without lifting a finger. The additional diseases it can catch keep expanding. In March 2025, Technion and Samsung published a paper showing the same hardware can detect active tuberculosis with 99% accuracy in under 5 seconds, crucial for low-income countries where sputum tests take weeks. In June 2025, a joint Google-Stanford team proved it can spot early multiple sclerosis by detecting breakdown products of myelin years before the first clinical attack. In August 2025, a group in Singapore used the sensor to predict preeclampsia in pregnant women up to 11 weeks before symptoms, potentially saving thousands of mothers and babies. Researchers in Japan are training it to detect clinical depression and suicidal ideation through changes in indole and skatole metabolites. The same chip, endless new applications, all delivered as over-the-air updates. Cost? When produced at scale in 2026, the entire olfactory module adds less than $550 to the bill of materials. That's cheaper than the vibration motor. By 2027, analysts expect 2.8 billion phones per year to ship with this capability as standard. Within 5 years, more than half the human population will carry a device that knows their body better than they do. Of course, the dystopian scenarios are endless. Imagine governments mandating daily breath scans for public health monitoring. Imagine insurance companies refusing coverage unless you allow full data upload. Imagine dating apps that secretly scan your breath for STD markers when you lean in to talk. Imagine employers rejecting job applicants because their phone flagged a 7% elevated risk of future absenteeism due to chronic illness. The technology is neutral. Society will decide whether it becomes the greatest liberation or the ultimate surveillance tool. Yet the sheer scale of human suffering it will prevent is almost impossible to overstate. Cancer, heart disease, and stroke kill roughly 28,000 people every single day. Alzheimer's and other dementias are exploding as the population ages. Chronic kidney and liver disease silently destroy millions more. If this technology reaches even moderate adoption, epidemiologists conservatively estimate it will prevent 15 to 18 million premature deaths per year by 2035 and add an average of 4.2 healthy life years to every person on Earth. That is more life saved than every medical advance of the 20th century combined, delivered by a device people already carry everywhere. The first phones go on sale in exactly 68 days. Galaxy S26 series launches February 18, 2026 in Seoul. Pixel 11 follows in October. The marketing will probably call it Health Guardian or Wellness Sense or some other soft name. But make no mistake, what Samsung and Google are about to hand to billions of people is nothing less than immortality in your pocket. 1 breath, 10 seconds, a lifetime saved. Welcome to the rest of your very long, very healthy life. The future doesn't knock. It just waits for you to exhale.